Hello, everybody, wherever you may be. My name is Larry. My call sign is Kilo 7 Hotel November. Welcome to show 35 of Ham Radio Live. All right, my friends, how are you? It's a good day to see you. Happy Thursday. Today is the 17th of September, 2020. Glad to have you here. Was excited to do the show and had some problem with the stream initially, so I guess we'll redo it. Why not? Twice the fun. We talked a little bit about SWR from the last show and what it means. Standing wave ratio essentially is the waves of energy that's on your coax between your transmitter and your antenna. An antenna tuner, it doesn't tune your antenna. It's really an impedance matcher for your radio. Helps your radio see an impedance that's workable and lets it send a load, which is the transmit signal, out your coax to your antenna and out to the world. But an impedance matcher doesn't sound as cool as an antenna tuner, right? Let's give the antenna tuner its due, right? It's not an antenna tuner, it's an impedance matcher. Right. Yeah. So anyway, I talked briefly yesterday about how the MFJ 998 auto tuner, which is my auto tuner, it's the only thing really besides my power supply that I kept after I sold off all my gear to buy the 101 MP. I needed to because it was, it was expensive. For me, very expensive. I don't get nice things like this. It's way outside of my, you know, budget. So my wife, who is, I think, one of the kindest people in the world, literally gave me her stimulus check to add with mine. And as I explained, sold an amplifier, set of tubes, a radio, and 2 stimulus checks to buy the 101 MP. I've loved it. It's a great radio, especially in terms of its selectivity and sensitivity, but I don't want to get off track too far. This is the MFJ 998. I mentioned this tuner yesterday in the video about how it helped me to tune up 160 meters on an antenna that was really too short to work 160. Really, any tuner that's capable of getting you an impedance match to work an antenna that's not resonant on a certain frequency will work. Okay. Not just this one, but I love this one. It works up to a full 1500 watts of power, which is great. I mean, that's the most you can use in the United States. So it's something that really has been handy for me. It's why I didn't let go of it. That was one thing I just couldn't let go of. But think of SWR as kind of like a water pipe. And as you hold it and kind of rotate it and you can see through the water pipe, you see the water sloshing back and forth. SWR works the same way, only it works the speed of light. Your load coming out of your transmitter goes out the coax or your, twin lead, whichever you choose for your feed line to your antenna, at the speed of light. And then there's some reflection coming back, but then that bounces back up and it bounces back up, keeps bouncing back up. The key, though, is if you have lossy line, okay? If you have line that's really lossy in terms of coax, I think this is the cable picture. Nope, wrong one. Sorry, guys, that's the speaker one. If you have lossy cable line, and keep in mind, I have little tiny pictures to look at when I'm taking a look at different things here on my screen, so I'm not able to find it. I have one that shows 3 different sizes of coax. So the one thing that I would suggest to new hams or people who want to be hams, make sure you get the best feed line you can, at least comparable to LMR 400. Now, LMR 400 is a trademark name. It's made by a company called Times Microwave here in the United States, but there are comparable brands to it that do the same thing. The reason I say buy that up front, which will be an expensive purchase, it will be, but you're going to change your antenna most likely someday. Most people start with dipoles that are multi-band, so they can work different frequencies, and people will change radios. But you don't change your feed line. That's the one thing you don't change. So why not buy the best you can buy right up front? A good idea. Another thing, talking about buying gear, this is extremely important. Now, I want to apologize up front for my voice. It is awful. It is awful. It's pretty scratchy. I'm going to be drinking quite a bit during the show because of smoke. Right now, this is basically the conditions outside where I live. 70 degrees, smoky. Notice it says hazardous air quality. How hazardous is it? Well, according to what the phone says, I don't know how accurate it is, but it pulls it probably off of the National Weather Service. The air quality index is 343 parts per million of pollutant, smoke. That's huge. I mean, that's a big number. Compare that here to Redding, California. This is Redding. Redding's in the north part of the Sacramento Valley. Sorry, this is Lincoln City. This is on the Oregon coast. This will show you how bad it is here in Oregon. 180 air quality index. We're 343, but this is at the ocean, with ocean breezes blowing in, try and blow the smoke out. Unbelievable. Redding, California, meanwhile, I think is this one. Let me pull this up. Again, I'm looking at little tiny, tiny, tiny pictures. Here's Redding. Redding's at 112. Now, that's the very north end of the Sacramento Valley, mountains to the north, east, and west of it. So, all of the winds that blow up the San Joaquin and Sacramento valleys, which are fertile, oh my gosh, fertile valleys. But there have been so many fires there. And because of the mountains surrounding Redding to the northeast and west, it settles. All that air settles there in Redding. So, you tend to have pretty bad air quality. Anyway, what it looks like today outside my house, well, it looks like this, which is an improvement. This is looking outside down my street. You can see maybe a half mile. That's about all. It's very, very smoky and hazy, and you can imagine breathing this air is just awful. But it's a tremendous improvement of what the air quality was last week when we looked like we lived on the surface of Mars. Okay? That is my ZS6BKW antenna. For new people that want to be in ham radio, you usually want to start off with a multi-band antenna. That was my choice, and it's still up, and it's up for a reason. It's a great antenna. Now, people can argue placement. This is called inverted V. Up at the top, right? So it's up at the top, and then it comes down on both sides from there. It connects to the PVC pipe, in this example, on the edges of my roof. But because the radiators are so long, I have them doubling back towards that mast. That's the MFJ 1904 HD mast. It's a 24-foot mast, and it has compression clamps for each section that goes up. So you start, it's about 4 feet high or so, and then you pull up the next section, compression clamp it down, pull up the next section, and so forth, But just get yourself like an adapter, a mast, basically a mast base. You can find them all online. And I bought one that would work on the peak of my roof, but I needed it to be at least 2.5 inches in diameter to accommodate that 2.25 inch mast base. It's a fiberglass mast, works great. So use it for field day, use it for outdoor activities, or do what I did, put it at your home, just use it permanently. That's been up for well over a year, and it works great. Okay. So multi-band antennas, most ham radio operators start with them because it allows them to work both the daytime bands, like 20 and 17, sometimes 10 meters, and it allows them to work the nighttime bands, which is 40 meters. And this one here, the ZS6BKW, struggles on 80. You'll need an antenna tuner to make it work on 80, but it does work. It'll work with a tuner. So excuse me, it's worked very good for me. And excuse all the sniffles. They're just part of the show today. I apologize. Today, we're going to talk about safe trading. If you're getting into ham radio or you want to get into ham radio, one of the biggest things that's going to get you is the price. You're going to look and say, oh my gosh. Ah. If you're old enough to remember the Sanford and Son episodes, when Fred would have the heart attack, yeah, that'll be you. But you can get good prices on radios and equipment through different, internet sites that are made to help hams sell ham gear to other hams. Simple. Okay. Now, ham radio gear doesn't depreciate like your car. Like it doesn't lose 30 or 40% when you take it off the lot, right? It doesn't lose 30 or 40% when you take it out of the bag or the box. Ham radio gear actually holds its value pretty well. It really does. It surprised me. Now, the first place most people start when they purchase is on eBay. eBay has two different ways to purchase. This is very important. If you remember one thing from this video, please listen to this. Never, ever use friends and family PayPal. Ever. It will take your money and give it right to the seller right away. And there are many people on ham radio sites who are trying to scam other people, trying to scam them purchasing equipment. Now, in the case of how it worked for me, I ended up trying to buy a radio once, and I put out $1,200. That's a lot of money. A lot of money. And I'd make it a point to always have the phone number of the person I'm purchasing from if I'm spending something more than $500, because it's a lot of money to me. Well, I had the phone number, but the guy wasn't a real seller. and it was one of those phones, you pay as you go phones. You toss it and it's done. So he wanted to use friends and family PayPal. I refused because I will never do that. And it saved me $1,200. Imagine losing $1,200 not getting what you bought. That's why you never use friends and family. Now, where do you find gear? This is a good question. And a good way to find out about scams, too. Here is my page on QRZ, and this is kind of a brave thing because I'm showing you my address and everything here online. That's okay. You could find it on my license if you want to. But the point is, look down below where it has my name and address. It says email, use mouse to view. That's something that scammers use on QRZ. QRZ is like our white pages where you can't quite see in this picture. Let me see if I can get you a better picture of it because it will show above my call sign a place where you can search the database to find someone's call sign and who they are. It's the way we identify each other. There you go. Okay. Above where it says K7HN and it says search, there's a window there where you can enter in a call sign. Well, with everyone's license, everybody's selling stuff, right? You go to a selling site, like, say, for example, in this case, it's QRZ. They have a place called the Swap Meet. The Swap Meet's a great place to buy and sell used equipment, sometimes new. Another one is EHAM, as shown here. You can buy used equipment here. Now, having phone numbers is good. They give you a phone number. Hey, that's great, right? So, EHAM, Swap Meet. Make sure you put both in your search bar, EHAM and Swap Meet, to help you find your equipment if you're trying to start out and save some money. Another one that's a site is QTH. Now, in this case, I just put in the search for the MFJ 998 tuner, like the one that was used yesterday in the example that we had. This is a couple of ads on QTH. Now, what's nice is they do have their phone number so you can verify who you're talking to, but still use PayPal regular. Don't ever use PayPal friends and family. It's just like kissing your money away. All right. You don't want to do that. Next one to look at, and I think is the best one, is here's what QTH looks like when you first get in. Just go to search ads, then where it says search for, use the advanced search. I just think it works a lot better on this site. Hit advanced search. Next page, you can put search exact phrase, then type in what you're looking for. If there's ads there, it'll find it. Pretty simple. It works great. All right, QRZ. This is kind of our white pages. It's our place to find out who everybody is when we're talking to them, okay? They have a page that they set up that explains who they are and their passions and what they like to do and their radio and all that stuff. QRZ is kind of our go-to page. It really is. Now, they have a place there where it's called the Swap Meet. The Swap Meet is really cool, and QRZ has a point where nobody that tries to sell equipment there can say friends and family. If it says friends and family, their moderators will kick it right off there. They will not allow it to even be on QRZ because the danger you face by using friends and family is that real. Okay. This site also makes sure that each item that you sell, you have to have your call sign on. So they want to protect buyers. That's really the point. They want to make sure as a buyer, you're protected. So QRZ, I think would be my number one choice if I was looking for used equipment. If you're starting out to save some money, it's a great way to start. Okay. So buying used equipment, please make sure you never use PayPal friends and family. Use the real one. Just make sure you get what you want. It's like title company when you buy a house, right? The title company takes your deposit, for the seller, holds on to it until you have the deed to the house because that's what you paid for. Okay. They then release that money to the seller once you have the deed in your hand. Works the same way. The way PayPal works is for a fee, obviously. They will make sure that the money that you've taken to put into the seller's account will be given to them upon your receiving the item. And I've had an issue happen where I've received an item that wasn't the way it was. For example, I sold once a Grundig G5 radio. A Grundig G5 is a shortwave portable radio that's actually very good. It's a very sensitive and selective radio. It has a very high selectivity rating. Good radio. In fact, it was a radio that got me really motivated to get my licensing. I really just go get my license. Heard a CQ call from Hawaii and folks on the East Coast responding. That was a great radio. I sold it to a guy in Florida. The guy in Florida, whatever reason, said, it doesn't do FM stereo, right? It's a shortwave radio. But he complained it was not doing FM stereo. It did FM. It has a single speaker, right? FM stereo. You know where I'm going with this? We turned his headphones on. He wasn't hearing a stereo broadcast. Now, it did that just fine. I never thought of it, like FM stereo because it's really designed to be a shortwave DX receiver. Anyway, he sends it back to me. Okay, he gets his money back. He sends it back to me, but it wasn't the radio I sold. The reason I know it wasn't, two reasons. First of all, the G5 is known to get sticky on the outside after a time because they put like this coating on them. But the second thing was because it had a different serial number on it. I contacted eBay. I let him know, hey, look, I've just been scammed. This guy sold me, basically gave me a different radio than I sold him. He now has my good radio. I now have his crummy old radio, and I want my money back. See where I'm going? They got me my money back. But again, that's through PayPal. eBay and PayPal are under the same umbrella. All right. Let's go to the rig cam. Make sure you don't ever go, friends and family. We'll see if we can make one call. We are close in. Why are we close in? I don't know. I don't know why. Don't know what we're doing at like amplification 30. Let's see if we can fix this. I tried before. Didn't quite work at the end of the last show. Hey, bonus episode. Nice. Okay. It worked. All right, so let's take a look. We'll see if we can find a quick signal. We'll make a quick call to say hello. Again, the RFI is on the screen. It's just one of those things. I can, now just to give you an idea of products that are out there to help you if you have a problem like I do, and many people do, especially those folks in cities, all right? If you have a situation where you have a pen adapter screen with your radio, like an ICOM 7300, 7600, 7610, the Yaesu 101MP, the Yaesu 101Ds, Kenwood has one in the 890, 990s. Those are great radios, and they have screens where you can see basically what's going on the bands. But a lot of radios today don't have those, like the Yaesu 450D, the Yaesu 5000. You have to buy the special speaker with has the screen on top, right? It's optional now. But you don't necessarily see a screen, but you can hear it when you tune the VFO. You'll hear this. Let me explain what it sounds like. Listen carefully. Hear that? That's all radio frequency interference. And what it does each time is it cuts down your ability to hear something. That noise is me spinning. Let me show you with the rig cam to show you exactly what I'm doing. Every one of these white lines right here, these big lines of high intensity, that's RFI. Now this is not RFI. That is that's FT8. But anyway, these are all RFI lines. Listen now as I tune the VFO. You'll hear it on the speaker. In the middle of it, sounds like this. See the S meter? Jumps up to about S6, S7. It'll drop as low as about S5. But away from it, if I get in the middle between them, I'm at S1, S2. Get in the middle of one of these things, now all of a sudden, we're cruising right there around S5, S6, S7. It's awful. It's just awful. Makes the radio very difficult to use. Now, we found the solution to this, and there are solutions available for you folks that have this problem, okay? They're called noise cancellation devices, but essentially, and we're going to do a show coming up on what they are to help you understand them really well. They use what's called a phase antenna. Now, a phase antenna, think of it this way. You have, let's see if I can find another pen real quick. I always have pens and wheat thins. Okay, here we go. So you have two antennas, right? One and two. One antenna is your driven element or the antenna that you broadcast. This is the one that transmits right out of your radio, right out of your radio with. You have a second antenna. That's your phase antenna. That's the antenna that's used to null out the noise that this antenna picks up. It's similar if you use what's called a vertical array antenna. Now, a vertical array has a very distinct transmit pattern. You have two of them, and then what you have is you have a matching line between them of 75 ohm coax. Your outgoing coax is 50. excuse me, 50. Sorry, a lot of smoke here lately. But you'll have a little bit of a delay between your transmit antenna and your reflective antenna. This makes sure that your signal that comes out is pointing one way only, but behind there's very little signal coming in. Okay. So you have to phase the two antennas. This antenna is the main one. This one back here is phased 90 degrees out of phase from the first one, meaning it's 90 degrees behind it. Okay. It's still going to transmit the signal with this one, but it's used as a reflector, like on a directional Yagi or an opti beam or a hex beam or something like that. It's just a reflector, but it has to be in phase with this first one. Now, that's why when you use a noise canceller, they're called phase antennas out of all of them. Now, the two that are the main manufacturers, one are made by Time Wave, the other by MFJ. Time Waves has just basically, it uses your normal antenna you transmit with, and then they use a phase antenna. Now, this doesn't transmit. This just listens, okay? So this is just for listening. Let me show you what happens on the screen once I put this noise canceller in. Now, I've tuned it already so that the phase will be pulling out the RFI. Look at the screen and look at the S meter. You see? Remember, we're on the noise. We're right there on the noise. Let me get it right up on it. See if I can, because it fluctuates. So we're here at, if you look carefully at the meter, let me move you over real carefully to the rig cam. Sorry, guys. Apologize. So you see here, we're at S6 to S7 on the meter. All right. Now, if I turn the noise canceller on, it's going to drop the RFI. See? It's because what it uses right here is it uses what's called a phase antenna. It's using a second antenna to take away the RFI from the main antenna. That's it. It's phased outside of that same signal to center in on that noise source to help you get rid of it. Now, ANC 4, which is made by Time Wave, that's the one I have here, works great. You saw what it did on the screen, works fantastic. The MFJ 1026 has the advantage of that it has a preamp with the phase antenna. I think that's a big deal. The 1025 they sell is like the ANC4. It doesn't have the preamp. This one does. The 1026 does. We've ordered that. So the 1026 is coming, and we'll be able to do a full review on that to show you its effectiveness over the ANC4. Okay. So I'm a little uncomfortable. My disability, one of those things, if I sit too long, it's hard. And this is the second time I'm cutting this. Actually, it's the third time technically because we had a problem with both the first one, second one. So phase antennas. Going back to the rig cam, show you again the difference. We're on the noise. We're right there. S6. What about S6? Pretty much stable. Turn the noise cancellation antenna. So we hit the phase antenna and the S meter drops. Now, that interference is still there. I think one of the main flaws of the ANC4 is there just isn't a preamp with the phase antenna. It needs more power, needs more oomph to be able to get rid of that noise. Okay. Let's tune real quick, see if we can make a quick QSO. Looks like there's one right here. Let them broadcast one more time. See if they hit something and get their transmitter keyed so we can make a quick QSO, say hi, and that's it. We'll hit the amplifier this time because we're using a phase antenna and we're trying to pick up signals. There we go. One right here. See if we can quickly say hello. By the way, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming today to Ham Radio Live 35. Appreciate it. I'm going to tune this, and this is an area like yesterday where we couldn't tune the antenna on the vertical. So what I'm going to do is jump over here to the MFJ 998, and we will emit a 5-watt tone, CW tone, which essentially is like what you hear a solid like beep noise, but it's a carrier, only 5 watts. It'll tune it. Now we're 1-to-1. It says the radio's getting, but we're at 16 watts of forward power because it's trying to tune the antenna the way it is. Get you back up here. There we go. All right. Let's go back to SSB. and we'll see if we can say hello to him. We're just going to use the MFJ 998 tuner to make the call. Kilo 7 Hotel November.
Yeah, I'm still waiting, John. It's going to be a fairly lengthy process, probably in the order of 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe. I don't know, maybe even a month, John. I don't know. But Direct 7, are you calling us W5OG the 7th?
Roger that. Kilo 7 Hotel November. I do a YouTube show called Ham Radio Live. Just got your signal. Wanted to say a quick hello. Tell you're coming into Independence, Oregon at a 5-9. Thank you.
Yeah, you're 5'9". You're also, my name is Dale, and I'm in East Texas. So, anything else there?
No, that's it. I'll send you a copy of the video so you can hear the QSO. I want to thank you. I'll say 73, Whiskey 5 Oscar Germany, Kilo 7 Hotel November clear. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. K7 Hotel November.
There you go. All right. A quick copy of a nice new friend. That is Dale out of East Texas. Always nice to reach the state of Texas. That's off the AV 680 vertical antenna at 33 feet with the help of the MFJ 998 auto tuner. Now it's weird because if I go below there, the rig will tune it. But there's an anomaly there because if I go above it, the rig will tune it again. But right in that area of the 14 megahertz area, the antenna just has a little bit of a problem. So nice to have the auto tuner. That's the show. 35. Make sure you buy your stuff. If you use eBay, you're paying a little bit here to use their service. Make sure you never use friends and family. Always use standard PayPal to have the protection of getting exactly what you ordered in working order. All right. Till next time, this was show 35. Show 36 next from the shack of Kilo 7 Hotel November. Until then, thank you so much for watching. It's been my honor. The show is developed to try and help people to get their ham radio license and those that are new to the license hobby to have some fun, move up in license grade, and just see what it's like to be a ham radio operator, to share our life with you. Thanks for watching, everybody. God bless you. Bye-bye.